Seems, though, that scandal fatigue is already setting in among the mainstream media. Last night on ABC, mention of the 3 scandals was the second story of the broadcast, with a total of 1 minute 44 seconds of coverage. Over on CBS, the IRS scandal was second and Benghazi third on that broadcast, a total of 5 minutes and 38 seconds of coverage. And on NBC, mention of the 3 scandals came in fifth, after a story on the president with historical context on the scandals in 6th place, for a total of 4 minutes 32 seconds of coverage. Let's bring in our News Watch panel. Judith Miller is a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter and author. Kirsten Powers, a Daily Beast columnist. Both are Fox News contributors. Judy, is there scandal fatigue, first of all? And if so, how can you have it when we don't even know the depth that these things have gone to?
Well, John, when issues get complicated and the press have to do a lot of filling in of facts that perhaps they haven't bothered to report before, yes, things do get complicated and it makes you tired. But I think whether or not this was the lead item or the second item on all of the network broadcasts, we have to admit that the mainstream media have finally woken up to the trifecta of scandals that have gripped the country this week. So I think we're seeing a kind of improvement in a willingness to at least examine charges that have been around for a long time, but that are now coming back to haunt the president, and that he, by the way, has finally been forced to respond to personally.
Kirsten, you have said that Republicans run the risk of making too much out of all of this.
Yeah, well, I think they already have, frankly, made a lot of mistakes in terms of overblowing a lot of the accusations against the White House. And when they do that, it makes people tune them out. Even the Marco Rubio clip that was just played right before our segment, as I gathered, he was talking about the AP leak. And, you know, the Republicans have been some of the most aggressive persecutors, frankly, of whistleblowers, have wanted Obama to be even more aggressive than he already has been, which would almost be impossible, frankly.
In terms of, you're talking about in terms of prosecuting leakers.
Yeah. Right, in terms of prosecuting leakers, which was the point of the AP. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to find out who was leaking information to the AP so they could prosecute them. So to turn around and start attacking him is such politicization in a way that I think is going to make people really tune it out. I think even on Benghazi, where I think there are a lot of serious questions, by bringing up Watergate, by trying to compare it to things that I don't think are fair analogies, they're giving an excuse to the people who don't want to cover it.
Judy, there are a lot of people out there who think that the press didn't care much about any of this until a press organization, the AP, became a target. But I mean, here's what we know. We know that the White House itself was going to announce that this al-Qaeda plot to blow up an airliner, the White House was ready to announce that the next day. The AP apparently wrote the story, put the story out there with CIA approval, and now all of a sudden the White House is angry.
Right. Well, that's, once again, we have questions. What was it that was so damaging or potentially damaging to national security that it required the issuing of telephone, a seizure of telephone records from the AP of 20 different lines involving as many as 100 reporters? Now, that better be one heck of a national security leak, because that is a pretty broad dragnet, and we need answers to those questions. And it's very tough, because the minute we ask questions like this, the White House or the Justice Department invariably says it's national security, we can't tell you, we can't discuss it.
Yeah.
Well, that's just not going to wash anymore.
All right, we're going to keep an eye on all 3 of these stories, and certainly on News Watch tomorrow. Thank you both, Kirsten Powers, Judy Miller.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This great panel will be back for News Watch this weekend, a special 1-hour edition that starts tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern Time. We cover the coverage of the week's top stories.